Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, I'm glad that I got to follow the gentleman who just debated before me, because as I remember, there were a few from the other side of the aisle who voted against a teacher pay raise just a couple of months ago, and now they're debating for it. And why is that? What I can gather is that because the oil and gas industry signed off on this legislation. That's the difference. What we heard in question and answer was very enlightening to me. We were talking about some really technical stuff that dealt with shutting in wells and bringing them back online at an incentive rate. And we heard someone from the oil and gas industry say, well, it makes no sense to shut down a well that's producing just because of a few percentage points on the gross production tax. And I think he's right. My caucus thinks he's right. That's what we've been saying for years. We've been saying that a few gross production tax points does not make a difference when you're talking about the wealthiest industry in the history of the world. But they've come to the table on this. And why? Because they're staring down the barrel of 7% in November. Because there's an initiative petition and the voters want 7%. They want oil and gas to pay their fair share. Oil and gas sees this as, well, we'll pay 4%, we'll come to the table, we'll pay 4%, and then we won't have to do that 7% in November. In fact, what they've done is put things in this bill to placate the people who are pushing the petition, so that they will back off the petition to take the gross production tax to 7% if this bill passes. What kind of deal is that? What kind of deal is that for Oklahoma? This bill gives a teacher pay raise. And I've said for 8 years since I've been at the Capitol that teachers desperately need a pay raise. But folks, at what cost? At what cost to our state and at what cost to low and middle income Oklahomans? When the plan before you gives a teacher pay raise, puts it in the left pocket, but takes out of the right pocket fuel tax. If you smoke to deal with the 40 kids in your classroom, you might be taking some more out of the right pocket. Your income tax would go up if your family is rich enough to make $50,000 combined as a household. Your income taxes would go up. I don't define that as wealthy. What our caucus has asked for is a fair and equitable plan. A plan that includes the income tax. A plan that includes a gross production tax. Something that puts our gross production tax at least not the bottom of the barrel in terms of other oil-producing states in the nation. I've been here for 8 years, like I said, and I took some tough votes a few years ago. When there was an income tax cut on the table, I voted no. That wasn't popular. Everybody likes income tax cuts. But I and other members of my caucus said at the time, if we do this, education funding will suffer. And guess what? We were right. When we kept the gross production tax at 2%, we said education funding will suffer. And we were right. This bill fixes neither of those. I did not cast those votes against those income tax cuts and gross production tax cuts just to shift the burden of funding government and funding teacher pay raises to those people who can't afford them. I will not be a part of letting those at the top and the wealthiest industry in the state off the hook. They have to pay their fair share, and if we approve this bill, they never will. Saying that this is the only plan, this is it. You vote this down, there are no other options. Folks, this is day 5 of a 120-day legislative session. To say that you're going to take your ball and go home after day 5, well, I think you deserve better from your legislators. You deserve a better plan. You deserve that if this bill goes down, that we get back to the table and roll up our sleeves and make sure that it's a fair and equitable plan for all Oklahomans, not just those at the top. This bill will not put one more dollar into the classroom. This bill will not put one more dollar into higher ed. The University of Oklahoma is in my district, and I'm proud of that university for weathering the storm that has been inflicted upon them by this legislature. This bill, however, will do nothing to lower tuition. It will do nothing to increase the pay for state employees who haven't had a raise in 10 years. This bill won't insure one new person. That is the real crisis in our healthcare system. We have an exponentially high number of uninsured Oklahomans in this state, and that is why our healthcare system is suffering. But did we want to expand Medicaid? No, because that was from the federal government. Folks, I ask that you demand better for this state that we all love. This has not been an easy decision for me or for any other legislator in this body. We've thought about it, but just as of a few minutes ago, we were being offered changes to this plan. We were being offered further negotiations. That tells me something. This is being rushed through on the 5th day of session. The representative from Felt was right. This bill is far from perfect. We haven't laid eyes on half of it, and we don't even have the numbers for most of it. We'll know numbers next week of how much we'll need for the budget hole, but we're rushing this through to placate some business owners who are not elected, who don't cast votes in this building, and certainly aren't representative of the population of Oklahoma, but we're doing what they want. We're giving them their vote. I'm ready, as an elected body, to sit down with each other and come to a true compromise, one that doesn't ask low and middle income Oklahomans to bear the burden of funding the entire state government and to bear the burden of funding much needed teacher pay raises. Mr. Speaker, I implore the members to vote this down and demand better for our state. Thank you.